Good morning. Well, it's morning here right now in Colorado. I keep having different things that I want to talk about, and so I decided to do a coffee talk today. It's Wednesday. Um, the house is full of people, so I might get interrupted, but I'm gonna try it anyway. So today I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming holidays and the way we interact with other people and whether or not we enjoy that time or not. So I just wanted to, it's kind of an extension of last week's coffee talk. So we'll see how it goes. Good morning, Daniel. Thanks for joining me. So I called it choosing presents, and at the breakfast table this morning or supper last night, sometime we were just chatting about how this this play on words has been around for a while, where I'm not going to give you presents this year, I'm going to give you presents, like not gifts as in my presents, but I'll give you a gift. Hi.
Hi.
I am live. What are you doing?
I was just, oops,
Yeah.
I was just coming in here to say hello.
Well, hello. I was just talking about presents instead of presents, and then your present showed up. It looks like you're scared of something outside. Are you playing a game?
No.
Okay.
Okay, actually.
You are playing a game?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am live for a few minutes here. And so, um, how do we choose presents, as in my presence with you? And because one of the things that Stacy said as we're chatting about it is like that, some people just make the joke, yeah, I'm just gonna give you my presents this year, but then actually when they show up, they don't actually have presents. They are busy over here, and they're like checking out, and they're not actually present. And what Stacy was saying is that most people, most families would be very happy if people actually showed up with their own presence, as in they were there physically and engaging intellectually and emotionally and cognitively with what was going on around them. And so I was thinking about that. Well, camera was off. That's interesting. Hey, thanks for making a note, Arthur. I appreciate that. I was just talking into the dark here. There we are. I'm back. That was a technical error on my part. That's called operator error. I made the mistake on that one. So yeah, I had guests a minute ago. My son Eric came in here, and some of the other kids that are here today. Like I said, I have a household of people, so a house full of people. Anyway, they were here, so I guess you did not see them, okay. So you were able to hear me, but my camera was off. So thank you for saying something. Now I'm really scrambled as to where I was and what I was saying. I'm talking about presents and how we can choose to either give someone a present where we wrap something and give it to them, or we can give them our presents. And in general, the idea of being present and there is a good one. However, I also am keenly aware that there are times when the last thing we want to do is to be present with somebody. And so I was thinking about that. So last week I said, what is that to you? And we're talking about how, it's easier sometimes to see a problem in someone else than it is to understand what's going on with myself. And I kept thinking about it this week, and the reality is that in the kingdom, that all of us have access to God. All of us have access to Christ. All of us have access to the Holy Spirit in the kingdom. And so sometimes in families and in churches and religions, things will get skewed a little bit. And so, for instance, I remember this happened multiple times where an elderly lady in the community would die, and the children, after a while, or the grandchildren would come and say, well, it seems that as long as Grandma was alive and she was praying for us, it held everything together. But now she's gone, and there's nothing left to hold us together, and it's just a mess. And I remember at the time thinking, well, I mean, it's great that Grandma was praying and holding things together, but you can pray too. And the more I think about this, I think there's several angles that we can come at. One, and I'm just going to speak from the two sides. So one side is just us living our lives not really aware, and there's somebody in our lives who cares, who's present, who's praying, and it is making a difference. So what's interesting is you said, cameras were off, and so I made sure that the camera was actually going out to where it needed to go. And so now I have a big monitor right here where I can see myself. And I'm just looking at my hair going, wow, I need a haircut or something soon. So I am very distracted this morning. I wanted to just share a few thoughts. And I'm acting like it's 2020 and I'm learning how to live stream. So on one hand side, we have just people just walking along in life, not really thinking about the impact they have on others, not realizing how widespread our influence is, and this can be a very selfish thing where we only think of how other people impact us, and we're not realizing how we impact them. We can be living in a complete selfish bubble where the only thing we ever want to talk about is how other people affect us. That's obviously a problem, but to the person who has it, it's sometimes not very obvious at all. The person who is in the middle of it sometimes doesn't realize that that's what they're doing. You have another side of it, and where for family reasons or church reasons or political reasons, there's somebody that really wants to hold things together for everyone else. And so we might call them a control freak, where they're trying to hold on to everything. And this is a real problem when this happens. And so on one hand side, when we're going to be present with each other and we're going to spend time together, then I want to say your happiness does not depend on how the people around you act, or that there's perfect outcomes to every scenario. At the same time, I realize that your happiness can be greatly affected by the people all around you. So I'm trying to talk to you, not telling you what to tell someone else, but I want to talk to you. You're responsible for yourself, and to some extent, I am able to choose how I live and do and what happens. Last night, I took little Corey. She's 3. I took little Corey out. We were Christmas shopping for Mama. And so at our house, what we do at this time of year is the children take turns wrapping something for everybody, and then we give them different nights leading up toward the Christmas week, so that on the night that they open the gifts, that child gives all the gifts to everybody. And that way, instead of having this huge pile on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve where they're just opening so many gifts and nobody knows who gave what, and it can just be kind of overwhelming and easy to overlook things, we just have one child give their gifts out to the rest of the family one night, and that way everyone opens one present, but we know who gave it to us, and we get to celebrate that person and the gifts that they gave that night. Then the next night we do it again with a different child. And so we're slowly working our way through. So last night was Corey's time. And so as we were going, I was chatting with Corey. I said, Corey, you want to get a present from Mommy? And she was like, yes. And I said, you want to buy earrings for Mommy? And she was like, yes, Mama loves earrings. And so this is true. Mama does love earrings. And so I think Corey loves them more. But so we went, and as we got there, we passed the rack where there are a lot of little earrings with butterflies and shiny little things on them. And they were obviously meant for little girls. And on the other side was the rack with the big showcase that was locked in, and that is where the jewelry was for the older people and for ladies. And so as we're looking at these, Corey picks out, I want to buy that one. And it was a little cross. And so I took her over and showed her all the other little girl ones, thinking that maybe her little girl heart would be delighted to think of Mommy wearing some of these little girl earrings. And she looked at them for a minute and was like, no, these are for girls. And it was kind of funny because I'm like, Mama is a girl. But what she meant was these are for little girls. And so I said, so which one do you want? You want one of these? And she said, no, I want that one, the cross ones. And so she got so excited when we got these cross earrings. And so we're bringing them home. She's wrapping them, and she's so excited to show these to Mama. But she was so, it always tickles me when a little child, and when I've taken the children, I mean, the very first time when I took Peter Christmas shopping, I've always marveled at the fact at how aware and cognizant they are of many things and in it. And I remember taking Peter Christmas shopping, and on the way we drove a little ways down the road, and then I started asking him, like, what do you think we should buy for Mama? And so at the time, Mama was having these plates on the wall in the kitchen. We still have them there as part of the decoration. Was these plates on the wall, and we didn't have very many. And he wanted to buy another plate to hang up there. So we discussed about it for a little bit, and then he decided at age 4 that he wanted to buy a plate that had a Bible verse on it. And so and then we prayed about it. We said, Lord, help us find one. And we prayed, and then we went, and we were in this little resale shop out in Golden, Colorado, and we were walking around, and they had so many really beautiful plates of all kinds of things, with nativities, with paintings, with train engines, mountain scenes, so many beautiful plates. And I'm looking at all of these different ones, and and just the china plates, and it's so many plates, and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be hard to choose. And so I say, Peter, what are you thinking? He says, well, which one has a Bible verse on it? I said, well, none of these two. He said, well, then that's the wrong one. We prayed. We need to find the one with the Bible verse on it. And so we went to the next room, and we were looking through, and I'm thinking, well, maybe there won't be any with a Bible verse. Then what are we going to do? He's like, no, we prayed. We need to find the one with the Bible verse. And so we end up going to we finally find one, and it's give us this day our daily bread. That's what it says on it, and it was a plate. And so he just immediately picked it up, like, this is the one we want. And I thought, well, maybe we should compare it with the beautiful, Thomas Kincaid plate over there or something else. And he's like, no, we prayed. We wanted one with a Bible verse, and here it is. So let's pay for it, and let's go home. And and so I remember thinking, wow, he really knows what he wants, and we're doing it. So we did it. We took the Bible verse plate in at home, wrapped it, and gave it to Mama. And so last night, Corey brought the cross earrings for Mama, and part of it, she was so excited. On the way home, she was telling me how on some days, Corey, was going to say, Mama, do you want to wear your cross earrings today? And Mama will say, yes. And then Corey will get them out of the little drawer and give them to Mama. But on other days, Corey will say, Mama, do you want to wear your cross earrings? And Mama will say, no, not today. And she will get something else out of her little jewelry box. And so the amount of work that Corey, imagination that Corey was involving, I thought was just the cutest. But these children do this. They're from the beginning. They're learning from us, and they're acting in ways that we're instilling into them. And so, a lot of times as our children hit their teens and older, they will start displaying characters and things that might annoy us. And part of the reason I'm convinced that it annoys us is because it exposes us. It is what we are. And we might never have said, yes, this is who I am. But now this child in my life is living out loud what I was just doing quietly. And so some people have called it like the children celebrating or, really living it up, something that I quietly or secretly permitted. So a parent will be like, I guess this is okay, and we'll just go this far. And then the child will be like, oh, this is what we do, and live it out loud. But so one of the things, the problems with being present with people, and this goes true for your family, for your church, for just wherever you are, being with other people, is that there are people who are like you in areas and you don't like it. And so you prefer to not be reminded of that and to not be there. And so I want to suggest that rather than pushing those people out of your life because they are something that annoys you, you need to find out what led to this in your life, and what would it take to change that about yourself, so that when you see it in them, you're not secretly annoyed. And half the time, or more than that, we don't consciously say, this child is like me. I don't like that. Let's squash it. But we subconsciously are like, don't do that. And sometimes it takes some real self-examination to say what they're doing is exactly like me in this other area. Okay, so that's one talk. Part of the reason you might not like to be present with people at Christmas is that they remind you of your own flaws, right? That is a possibility. And so on that level, I am going to say that the level of stress you have in your life or how much drama you have in your life is entirely your choice. You get to choose how much drama do you want? How much stress do you want? And to that degree, live selfishly and go try to control these people and force them to have your outcomes you want. If you feel like you're having a high stress, high drama life, on one track, that's all up to you. Entirely your responsibility. You get to choose. So what did you choose? How's your Christmas going to be? Your choice. All right, so on another thing I want to talk about, though, is this other side. So now I'm going to switch sides for a minute. So in my life, I have often been looking for someone to work with me in work or ministry or like with filmmaking. For years, I was trying to find somebody that would come and work with me in filmmaking. And so a lot of people have worked with me on my films, and I'm very, very grateful for everyone that has worked with me in some extent to some level. I'm very grateful for the people that are on our film board right now who are helping me think seriously about what we're doing. I'm very grateful for the folks in my life that have encouraged me and helped me and challenged me so that I can be a filmmaker, right? But when I got married to Stacy and she was in film, one of the expectations that I had was, oh, I've always been looking for a partner to work with me in film, and here she is. I was expecting it to be some man and we'd be in business together, but here it is. It's my wife. We're going to be in business together. We're going to be filmmakers. And so we did. We did a lot of filmmaking together, and to this day, we still have to apologize and talk about how we treated each other in some of those early years as we were learning how to be filmmakers together. But then something happened somewhere, I don't know, it felt like 8 years into our marriage, somewhere is a couple years ago now, 5 or 6 years ago, where there was a day when Stacy quit. She decided to not be a filmmaker with me anymore, is what she said. And at the time, I'm like, come on, you can't just do that. You can't just quit on me. And I wanted to go into a self-pity spiral and just say, oh, poor little me. You know, here I thought God was providing for me because of my wife and all this other stuff. And then she just quit. And, this is horrible. And what I was realizing is that to work with me meant that if I begin to not know what to do, I'm going to push that responsibility on you. So I'm going to blame you for me not knowing how to respond forward. Hi there, buddy. Are you looking for your mama? She's up the stairs somewhere. Got a little visitor. And so my presence in those times, to be present with me, was not fun. And Stacy would explain it to me. She said, look, when I'm working with you, I am doing everything I can to try to please you, to finish this or do whatever. And it can be so extremely difficult. I just don't want that stress in my life anymore. I'm supposed to be raising children. I'm supposed to be being, teaching my children. I'm supposed to be a homemaker. And when I'm trying to be a filmmaker with you, it adds so many layers, and I can't do it all. And so at first I was very frustrated with her. But I'm literally saying, as the years went by, and I started seeing what she had to deal with if she was working for me, was very difficult, and it kind of culminated eventually when I got to work with some other people who would treat me the way I would treat her. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what it's like. I get it now. I'm beginning to get the picture. I still don't fully get the picture, but I'm beginning to get the picture. The idea is that if you're working for me, and if I run into a scenario where I don't know what I'm doing, chances are I'm going to somehow try to shove that off on you and make you solve my insecurities. And that's not fair. And so last night, Stacy and I were here. We were right here in this room. We were working on a documentary, and we were trying to solve some problems. and we worked on it and reviewed it after we put the boys to bed, and we are working together in film again. But there is a difference. I'm trying to respect her boundaries, where she says, I don't need your stress superimposed on me, which is not fair for me to do to her. And so what's interesting about that is we're married. She was working for me, but she still put up that boundary by simply quitting, which at the time I thought was just the most wicked thing I'd ever heard of anybody doing to their husbands, And yet at the same time, now looking back, I'm like, it was one of the best things she has done is like, Joseph, you're not easy to work for, and you're destroying this relationship. When we're trying to work together, it's just horrible. And so she was strong enough and confident enough in her identity with Christ that she's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And she stepped out. And so no matter how, at the time it was frustrating. I felt kind of hurt by it. Like, why? Not only do I not have other people that are working with me on this level, my wife that I thought God sent me to work with me, she's quitting. What is going on? Well, what was going on was that the way I was present was not healthy, and it was not helping other people. And so I want you to just share it from the two sides. So for instance, if my idea of being present with you is to make you feel the pain that I feel in my life, then you should not be present with me. And so if your idea of presence is that you've got to be with people so you can make them feel what you're feeling and they can help carry your load, no, that is not good or healthy. You need to not be trying to find people to offload on all the time. What we're looking for to be together, to be truly present, is and I've experienced this on camping trips. I've experienced it in real life. I've experienced it at coffee shops. I've experienced it at family reunions and gatherings. Is there some people, so let's take a traveling trip or a camping trip or something. So it's morning time and you get up, you make your bed, you pack your bag, you've got all your stuff together and ready. And then you show up at the camp kitchen and say, okay, what else needs to be done this morning? Now you're able to help. Or you could just be like still in bed when everyone else is up and they're trying to strike the tent and you still have your stuff spread all through there. You're not taking care of your own stuff. You need to take care of your own stuff first, then you can take care of other people. But for the people that take care of their own things, I love those people. When we're together and we're working together on stuff, you've already taken care of your responsibilities. You've made sure that you are rooted and grounded in Christ. Your identity is good. And then your present is so awesome. But if you're just like, I am not even going to try, my life is a mess, and I'm going to come and try to make you feel bad because my life is a mess, and blah, and on, like, you're not cool. And that's not a way to live. And so that's a problem. You need to find out, what would it take for me to get my stuff together so that I can be a pleasure to be with? Because I want to be with other people. I want to interact with people. And so we want to take care of ourselves first. All right, so then we're coming up on New Year's when I think about goals, and this has to do with me working. When I make goals, I have to think of them in terms of if it's just me and God, what can we do? Because if I start adding me and a whole bunch of other people plus winning the lottery, and then this is my goal, I'm going to be a very stress-filled person to be around, and it's not going to be good. Good morning, Joe. Thanks for joining me. And so what I want to make sure, hi, Eric, I see you back there.
Hi.
What I want to make sure is that I'm taking care of myself, and I don't mean that like pulling myself up by my bootstraps. I mean, like what Stacy did. She looked at herself in the relationship and was like, if I keep editing and working with you, this is not going to be good. So I'm quitting. For the health of my marriage and for the health of my own sanity, I'm quitting. And she did. And I learned to respect her on a whole different level. And we still actually work together. It's just a little bit different now. And there's more respect and mutual concern for each other and how we work. And I hopefully have learned more about how to be a good person to work with. Hopefully. But it requires humility. It requires the fear of the Lord. It It requires me choosing peace and to choosing to, and so when I say you need to prepare yourself to be a good person to be with, I don't mean that you need to even fix yourself. I go to Christ for healing. I go to God to be reaffirmed on why did he make me? Who did he make me for? I have people that encourage me, that help me. Sometimes we need to have other people, like physically we need doctors, spiritually we need shepherds. We need each other. And so sometimes we need to go to someone and say, look, I'm very broken in this area and I don't know what to do. And then they will cry with you and pray with you and potentially direct you and help you. And so you do need other people. But I just want you to be thinking as you're going into the Christmas season. I am doing it myself, and we're talking about it as a family, is how do we make sure that we're not the contributor that's causing all the stress in everyone else? How do we, and then if other people are just dumping on us all the time, how do we create that boundary so that they can't do that? It doesn't mean I don't love them. Like my wife still very much loved me, but she was like, I'm not going to allow your stress to just destroy my ability to love my children and to enjoy raising these boys and teaching them, which is kind of what I was doing. I'd be like, I don't know what to do and I'm so stressed and we have so many things to do. I just need help. And I would have continued that. She could have worked for me 24/7 and I never would have been out of the stress because I was pushing all my stress on her because she's working with me. And so in the end, she would be doing way more work than I'd be doing. And she would be feeling stressed and she wouldn't be doing what God had made her to do. And she'd be trying to do this all for her, for me. And it wasn't good. And so this can happen, and I found myself in this place. So if I find myself in a place where I cannot settle and find peace between me and God and just be like, here I am, maybe I need a new boundary. Maybe I need to say no to something. And so for families, if you're stuck as a child or you're married to someone in a scenario that's putting a lot of pressure on you to perform and they want to control the outcomes. Well, first of all, you have just as much access to God as anyone else. I am a pastor, but I expect that the people in our fellowship, I fully trust and expect that they are listening to and hearing from God. It's not just about me hearing from God. It's every individual person. And yes, I take responsibility for shepherding and for leading our flock. But I hold it with an open hand before God. And I am not responsible for you to help you fix your emotions. You and God, you need to figure out how to okay, so I don't know if what I'm sharing is making sense, but I'm trying to make it to where when we come together as family or as church fellowship, as friends, that we can enjoy each other's presence because I'm taking responsibility for me, you're taking responsibility for you. And so instead of just having a stress-filled, high drama interacting back and forth and things blow up, we can actually enjoy each other. So I'm going to go back to this one other thing. When you're thinking about how to, say, grow and improve yourself, or you're thinking about what you want to accomplish in life, I want you to think in terms of between you and God. If you surrender to God, like what can he work out in you? What can you do? And if your goals always include, well, I'm going to hear from God, and then these people will help me, and these people will do this, and then we'll win the lottery. That's not goals. That's not healthy. What's healthy is when you say, well, God and I had coffee together this morning. I surrendered to him. He's my king. And he instructed me to be at peace. He instructed me to forgive. Whatever. If your goals have to do with you and God, then other people can come alongside you and they can help you. And you will be truly grateful. But if you're making the plans, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to need 20 other people to jump in there and give their best. Well, then if only 10 people show up, you're frustrated. Or if 20 people do show up and they only give, like 20% of their work instead of 100%, you're frustrated. And you're always frustrated because you've put your trust and you're expecting someone else to fulfill your responsibilities. So what does it take? What does it take for you to be able to choose peace? Is it an act of God? because of someone in your life, well, then you need to pray and say, Lord, how do I protect this? How do I, like what Stacy did that day and just quit on me? How do you do that? Because we love each other dearly and we talk about many things. There was just an area in our life that had gotten out of control because of the way that I was shoving responsibility onto her. And this was, I mean, it might be longer ago now than I realized. I think it was 2017, 20-ish, somewhere around back then. And so we've had to rework together how to work together, and to not allow our happiness to depend on someone else's stress level. So I don't know if any of this has made sense to you, but this was my talk for this morning. Thanks for joining me. I just want to encourage you, find peace with God. You yourself, any one of us can hear from the Lord. We don't have to have a priest or someone else between us and God. Christ himself is our high priest. We go to him, we have access to the Father, and we can receive healing from him so that when we are present at the family gathering this year, it can be a real blessing and people can enjoy being with us instead of us just looking for someone to dump on. Anyway, Merry Christmas. I might have another coffee talk later this week. I don't know. This was one thing that was on my mind this morning. We'll see what happens the rest of the week. Blessings.